Chris Level here with Mr. John Harris, color analyst. I do sidelines. Brian Jensen not here. He will be there in the stadium tomorrow.
Well, actually, boys, I am already here at the stadium, down in the trenches where I live. Actually, was just admiring the structure of that huge video screen. Won't be ready for the spring game, but certainly will be in the fall. Can't wait to see that thing. And can't wait to see what goes on in the trenches during the spring game. I know you guys are going to talk ad nauseum about Cliff Kingsbury and the huge crowd that'll be here. Well deserved because of all the excitement that he brings to the program. You'll talk about the quarterbacks with Brewer and Webb, and no doubt about all the skill position players and the new defense and all that kind of stuff. But I really think the focus tomorrow, or the focus during the spring game, is going to be on the trenches, specifically the offensive line. It's been the talk of spring a bit, and I think it's going to be the talk of summer and possibly through the fall. A lot of the reason might be obvious, but maybe not. Look at the great success that happened a year ago for Cliff Kingsbury's quarterback. Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy. They won all those great games in the SEC, really the talk of the nation at one time. You think it was just the talent of the quarterback? No, it was the great talent of that offensive line. Going to have maybe the first pick in the NFL draft and would have had another first rounder had Matthews gone. The point in all of that is you look at where Cliff Kingsbury's offenses have been and look at the offensive lines that have been in front of those quarterbacks, those running backs, those great skill position players. They've been very solid. Red Raiders lost more than half of the offensive line. They've got LaRaven Clark really stepping in now as the guy that is the guy they're all going to be looking at as the leader. He's a sophomore. So how that develops, how the depth develops behind him, and if they can sustain against one of what most people consider one of the best possible defensive lines in the Big 12, can they do it through an entire spring game live scrimmage and be successful with it? We'll see. Do they have enough depth to do that? And then how do they develop that throughout the rest of the summer? So that's why I'm down here in the trenches, in the stadium. Now, let's hear about the rest of what you expect in this spring game.
Cliff Kingsbury era. I don't know where you start, but there's a lot of chatter about it, a lot of energy, and it's kind of the first time the fans are going to have a chance to see, what he's all about and what kind of football he wants to coach here.
It did not take long to understand what the hiring of Cliff Kingsbury did for this Red Raider football community and the program, because at the announcement of him being named head coach, huge crowd there in the United Spirit Arena. Huge crowd in Midland when fans first got the opportunity to come out and watch this team in their spring practice, and I think even a larger crowd in Jones AT&T Stadium just last Friday night when they had the chance to watch this team, and I think the crowd much bigger on Saturday afternoon when this team holds their final scrimmage of this spring practice. But here's a guy that was extremely successful as a Red Raider quarterback, extremely successful as a college assistant coach. Clearly, Red Raider fans and all college football fans, I think, know the story of Cliff at Texas A&M a year ago with Johnny Manziel winning a Heisman Trophy. So I think all of that excitement builds up now for the Red Raider Nation, and a lot of people want to come out and see what he's doing with this Red Raider football team.
And I think we should start right here. I think the biggest question mark that everybody kind of wants to see, and it's not a question mark, but it's something they have not figured out yet, is Michael Brewer going to be this team's quarterback? Is Davis Webb going to be this team's quarterback? And I think a lot of people are maybe surprised to hear that name, Davis Webb, who should be in high school right now, going through the prom and all that. But that's one thing that I think people will be wanting to watch on Saturday afternoon is the quarterback play.
Red Raider fans got a chance to look at Michael Brewer last season. Extremely successful when he was on the field running the offense. I think there were 12 series throughout the year where he was on the field, and the offense scored 9 times. I mean, that's a pretty good record. Davis Webb has come in and I think surprised a lot of people. As you mentioned, he left high school early, has gone through spring practice with this team, and has really, really impressed those who have seen him and the coaching staff. So it's a great problem to have, 2 quality quarterbacks who can step in there. Now limited play, obviously, at the collegiate level. I mean, even for Michael and none for Davis Webb, but certainly the promise is there. And I think either one of those guys, when they do make the final decision come the fall, Red Raider offense is in great hands.
Yeah, in great hands for years to come, because you got a sophomore and a freshman. And one thing to notice, too, with Cliff's offense, they will play fast and that's what they will do all of the time. There is no we're going to play fast and then slow it down. No, this is what they will do. So the tempo, I think, has been something that everybody's talked about, this spring, and I think they're kind of getting used to it, what Cliff wants them to do.
Yeah, they're always in a hurry to some extent. I mean, in a ball game come the fall, they want to run at least 80 plays. So they're going to be run a play back at the line of scrimmage and ready to snap that ball again.
Let's talk defense now. Matt Wallerstedt, defensive coordinator here. Cliff knew him from his time coaching against him when he was at Houston, when he was at Air Force. He knew him, was on the same staff at A&M last year. They want to be multiple. They want to be very complex. We spent some time with him, and it's kind of interesting to hear all the different things he wants to do with his defense.
You can get confused trying to follow Wallerstedt when he's talking about his defensive personnel. And I think in the game that fans will see on Saturday afternoon, you won't see everything that this team wants to do, but you'll certainly see all of the personnel in some various roles. But I think if they can get across to the Red Raiders what they want to do when come the fall, they'll make it difficult on offensive teams because they'll give them so many different looks and come after the offense, not sit back and react to what offensives do, but they want to be the aggressor, and you'll see a lot of different people. See a little bit of Kerry Hyder on Saturday. Guy's been an outstanding player for this team for a couple of years and poised to have a tremendous year coming up in the fall. But Hyder's the guy that leads that team. A lot of different people. Michael Awe has stepped up here in the spring. Saw a little bit of him last season. I like the guy. Keenan Ward is a South Plains product kid out of Snyder who stepped in to play in the secondary at a safety spot, who's also played fairly well here in the spring. So there are some new faces that you'll see, but they've got some issues too on that side of the ball where you graduated everybody in the secondary, and that's the big rebuilding question for Wallerstedt and his defensive staff. But they're making progress. They like what they've seen so far, and you just hope that they're able to hold up. And they've played well in the scrimmages. Now the offense has worked their way in and hit some big plays, but there's certainly been some very good moments defensively as well.
Yeah, front seven, clearly the strength of this defense, no doubt about that.
Which is why I was hanging out down here in the trenches. And we'll be hanging out in the broadcast booth, of course, 12:30, our pregame show, 1 o'clock kickoff for the spring game. Ought to be a lot of fun, big crowd, a lot of excitement. You can, of course, listen to it in the Lubbock area, and you can listen to it on TexasTech.com.